On this week's show, she survived cancer, COVID, and a riot at the Capitol in the span of 2 years. We'll talk with New Jersey Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. Controversy in Montclair. The teachers refuse to go back to work, parents are upset, and the mayor is siding with the teachers. And thinking about selling your home? The New Jersey housing market is hotter than it has been in years. Hello, and welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Mendte. But first, my interview with New Jersey Democratic Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman from the 12th Congressional District. Representative Watson Coleman, it's always good to see you. Thanks for spending some time with us. Everyone kind of held their collective breaths in New Jersey when you were diagnosed with COVID-19. Nobody had to be more shocked and more worried about that than you. Can you describe it? What went through your mind when you got the diagnosis?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's good to see you as well. I have to tell you that my media reaction was anger because I had been so careful from March until January. And so when I went down to DC, we were tested and I was negative. And then when I came home, I was told, get yourself tested because you were in that holding room with those hundreds of members and some of them refused to wear their masks. And sure enough, I tested positive.
Not scared?
I was more angry than scared. You know, I had already had one shot. And so I knew I had something inside of me that was working. I didn't really have any bad symptoms at the time. And so I never really was incapacitated. You know, I had some fatigue, some fogginess and a cough and stuff like that, but nothing I couldn't deal with. It was an unknown. You just didn't know what that virus was going to do.
And so you just went through cancer a couple of years ago and then COVID. And I would imagine the reaction to both of them was similar. You didn't know what was going to happen.
Exactly. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. So I feel a little bit like, maybe Superwoman or Supergirl right now. Well, I feel quite well. Thank you.
You deserve to feel that way. I read your opinion piece in the Washington Post, and the title really tells the entire story. I'm 75. I had cancer. I got COVID because my GOP colleagues dismiss facts. As I read the column, I thought there was a really important message in there. I mean, the headline, and maybe you didn't write the headline, was partisan, but there was an important message in there about wearing masks.
Yeah, it's about caring about others. It was about being selfless instead of selfish. And it was also about listening to the science and the scientists.
When you look back on all this, you've now survived cancer. You had COVID. You've survived the siege. You were in the thick of it. These are all like life lessons, are they not? And when you put them all together, what are your thoughts?
I was blessed and highly favored. That's what I feel, and I feel that that's the way it was really for Congress and the staff. No one in Congress, none of the members, none of the staff were seriously hurt or killed. Terrible what happened to our Capitol Police, both in terms of the lives that were lost and the injuries they sustained and the trauma. I mean, I experienced a lot more trauma watching it on TV than I did in that moment because I was inside. Right. And I couldn't see what was going on. But then when, as I've listened, Larry, and I've seen the things that these protesters, these rioters, these insurrectionists, not protesters, were saying, what they were willing to do, the anger, the venom, how they were so motivated by what the president had set up for not just that day, but even days and weeks beforehand. I mean, those people were so set up to come and do this that they had lost their sense of what was right or wrong because they were doing what the president had instructed them to do, which was to fight like hell and take back our country and protect our country. Don't let them certify an election that had been certified in every state. So it's really been a harrowing experience looking at it.
I want to talk about the lawsuit now, the first lawsuit that has been filed against Donald Trump since the riots and since the impeachment. It's the NAACP, some members of Congress. You've joined in on the lawsuit. What's the purpose of it?
To hold, first of all, I haven't signed on yet. It's really Benny Thompson, who is the main plaintiff, but I probably will. But it is to hold Donald Trump individually and personally responsible and accountable, and Rudolph Giuliani and the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys for conspiring to cause insurrection to our government, to thwart our democracy, to desecrate the cradle of our democracy, the Capitol. I think that these actions are above and beyond his being a president at the time. They're a reflection of what he did while he was a president, what he didn't stop when he was a president, and who he's been as a president. And then Giuliani has just been an absolute a surprise when you think of who he was when we had 9/11 and who he devolved into.
Are you hoping to depose the former president and put him on the stand?
I would think that that would be a viable option.
That's something you smiled. You seem like you're looking forward to.
Well, I think at some point he's got to be held accountable for something, and I think that all the trappings of being the president and all the protections and the fences around you to stop anyone from getting near you to hold you accountable, you don't have when you're no longer the president.
Congratulations on being named chair of the Transportation and Maritime Homeland Security Subcommittee.
Thank you.
Do you have priorities in that role?
Transportation is vitally important to our region, whether or not it's the small airports and air transportation or if it's ground transportation. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey is very important to our region of the country, making sure that the Gateway Tunnel and the Portal Bridge that you go over in order to get through the Gateway Tunnel are safe and secure for the travelers, and recognizing the economic impact of that region on our national economy. Those are very important projects that didn't do very well under Republican administrations. Now that we've got Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Democrats in control of both houses, albeit very slim margins, I think we're going to have some sanity to the things that we do on behalf of the people of this country.
Both sides have said all along they're for an infrastructure bill, and I know Homeland Security is part of that. I guess we'll see now. We'll see now if you can get a bipartisan bill on infrastructure.
Well, I certainly hope so, because not only do we need infrastructure in many ways repaired and modernized, from energy grids to roads and bridges and everything else, and schools and everything else, we need the jobs. We need good paying jobs so that families can get back to taking care of one another, spending money on the things that they need, and helping our economy to move forward.
Representative, thank you so much for your time. You're always gracious with it. New Jersey Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. Still to come on Jersey Matters, houses in the state are being sold the moment they're put on the market. What is going on? We'll talk about it next.